Welcome, everyone. This is Gwydion, and today I'm going to do something a little different. I do solo games a lot more now, but I just converted an indie horror RPG called Obscure into Fantasy Grounds, and I would encourage you to check it out. It's by Tommy Sunzenaut from Sunzenaut Games. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And I converted it into Fantasy Grounds, and this is intended to be just a TTRPG. It is not set up for solo. I think he's going to work on some solo rules, but what I'm going to do today is try to play this with the Solodark rules from Shadowdark. And those are actually coming out soon. We created a module, Mr. Kevin and I, and we should be releasing that very soon. But I want to use the Oracle from Shadowdark and see if I can play through this horror TTRPG. So I do have a video describing the setup and a separate video, the setup in Fantasy Grounds, separate video describing the game. So I won't go through too much. I think I'm going to use this more as just a playthrough, but I will explain a little bit about how I'm going to go through this and what I've modified, so to speak. Oh, and I want to fix this footage. And part of the reason I'm doing this way and not doing this live is just in case I screw something up and in case this goes horribly wrong. Um, the game typically says use an observer or a GM and at least one player. So I thought just to make this a little bit easier, better, I'm doing two players. And sometimes I think a light source is pretty important. So I figured I'd have two players, one with a light source, and if one dies, the other one can carry on, pick up the light source, and at least keep going a bit. I did, and a couple times, I think I maxed out. You're supposed to roll like 1d6 for things like batteries and what have you. I took a little liberties there, but not much. And I did select the NPCs that have the highest health, which in this game is called energy. So those are the main things I did. And what I'm going to try to do in terms of the Oracle is I have the module loaded for Solodark. Let's see, up the Oracle. I don't know why it's not. There we go. So I'm using this Oracle system, and I like it because it's pretty simple. It's a D20. You determine if what you're asking, the answer to your question, the likelihood of getting a yes answer is unlikely or impossible if there's kind of a 50-50 chance, or if it's likely or certain. If it's unlikely, you'll roll with disadvantage. And obviously that means 2d20 and you take the lowest result. And if it's very likely, then you roll with advantage. So I'll try to adjudicate that. I updated the Oracle table that Kevin and I prepared because there are different outcomes. 1 through 9 is a no to your answer, but I wanted to have this detailed so I didn't forget that a 1 is a crit fail basically on the Oracle table. So it's the worst possible outcome. A 2 through 9 is a no, but if you roll an odd number, it's a no but. So whatever you ask is a no, but there might be something that helps you out that can add to the story. And then a 10 is a twist. And I think it tells you something, something unexpected happens. Roll a prompt, and prompts are basically just there's a noun and a verb. So, like, if I needed to roll a prompt, I'm going to roll on this, and it'll just give me a little inspiration. So, the verb is hint, and the noun is chaos. So, I don't know, maybe there's something crazy that happens in the midst of all that. You find some clue or hint. So, I'll figure it out. So that's mainly what I'm going to try to use to keep this thing flowing. And we'll see how it goes. I've never tried to play a game with an Oracle system. So I might not do this great or perfect, but let's just see how it works. So here are my two characters. Brian Henderson, he's an electrician. He is a failed student. Here's a little bit closer to what he looks like. And Brian failed film school and is now taking small paid gigs to cover his student loan debt. He pursues his dream and gaining success as a filmmaker. Maybe this shitty gig will pay off somehow. And my agenda is you want to be a name in the film industry. So that, I think that'll play in well with this scenario, which I'll describe in a minute. Suzanne or Susan Williams is an anxious nurse. She's unemployed. That's what she looks like. And she's a very caring person, recently educated nurse, so just out of school, I suppose. She's anxious but brave, and her agenda is wants to prove something to herself. Let's look at each of them also has what's called a phobia. So Brian's is being left behind, so that could be interesting. And Suzanne, or Susan, I'm going to keep changing. Let's just, it's a Z, we'll say Suzanne. And Suzanne is hemophobia or blood, which is interesting given she's a nurse. So we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, let me close these two for a minute. And I do have the map up, but let's just open up the beginning of the adventure, and that you start by reading, why are you here? So this is scenario 1 from Obscure. Let me read this. Why are you here? 3 people went missing after visiting St. Sanchez Hospital, an abandoned asylum. The local police recovered a videotape from the location. The hospital was searched, but the missing people were never found. Having gotten access to the police's evidence, you came here to solve the case. On the found footage, you spotted a hidden doorway in the background of one of the shots. You arrived, and so that's the kind of why. And I think what I'll say is, for Suzanne, I think it would make sense that maybe a niece or a nephew was one of the missing people that were never found. So she has a real motivation, and she came across Brian, at a coffee shop, and he had a bunch of photographic equipment, so she could tell he was a filmmaker, and she wanted someone to go with her and investigate this. And given he's trying to make a name for himself in film school, he decided that he would follow her and investigate this issue at St. Sanchez Hospital. So here's the scenario intro. You arrived at the hospital gates late afternoon. It was easy to cross the police barrier and gain access to the hospital yard. From here, you entered the dilapidated, see, I still have a few cleanups to do, building through a broken window. The place was dark, eerie, and unsettlingly silent. Locating the door that you saw in the footage wasn't easy. You spent hours scavenging the countless rooms and corridors, aided only by the cone of light from your flashlight. The door was not where it ought to be, according to your memory of the video. You found it at last. So what I'm gonna show, one quick second, and we're gonna do this together. And then I am going to show you an image of the hospital. Oh, that's that. There might be one other image. Here we go. So this is an image of the hospital as I'm outside, got my flashlight. We come inside. It looks pretty eerie. I love the background. And we are going to head into the hospital. So we've gone through the hospital. We found a door that I think leads maybe to the basement, and we enter through a heavy metal door. We come in here, and it looks like we're into a hallway. I can't see a whole lot, so we're going to come down the steps to the hallway. And as soon as we come down those stairs, we hear the door slamming shut behind us, becoming impossible to open. So maybe I'll, in the future, maybe I'll do a line of sight and close that off. But suffice to say, we are locked in. So I think as far as weapons, Brian's got kind of his, maybe a wrench. I said a hammer, but that's fine. I think a hammer. So he's kind of carrying that in his right hand, and he's carrying his flashlight in his second hand. So Suzanne does not have a flashlight. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. I don't know how loud it is for you, but make it a little bit lower. There we go. Hopefully you can still hear a little bit of background ambiance. And it should get lower as I talk. All right, so I'm going to let him go forward, but Suzanne does have a gun. I don't think she's going to keep that out. She's just going to keep walking and kind of looking around as we head down. So it looks like we've got something to the left. So it's pitch black. So pretty scary as we go in here. And one thing I think I'll roll is, so whenever I see this anxiety man, the observer, which is me, has the ability, doesn't have necessarily the obligation, but it might be a good time to um, to give out a anxiety point to the player. So I think the way I'll do that. So Brian's fear is being alone, and Suzanne's is, what do we say, hemophilia. So I don't think she's as scared of the dark, but Brian is. So just for this beginning, I think what I'll do is I will open Brian's character sheet and I'm going to give him one anxiety point. So I'm going to say Suzanne's okay, but Brian, he doesn't like to be alone. Even though he's not alone, he is facing the prospect of being alone as he's now cut off from civilization at the moment, or the rest of the world. So there's a barred gate on the west end of the hallway. So I view this, so I cannot go through there, but I view this as kind of a, basically it's bars like you'd see in a prison or an asylum, have to buzz probably to get through. So I can kind of make out what looks to be some doors down this hallway as I peek my flashlight. And Suzanne kind of looks behind me and sees that as well. So I don't think there isn't a generator on right now, and I shouldn't know this, so my character should not know that. But it sounds like the bars would be electrified. So, but for now, they are not, as my character probably looking around for something that would power these on, and looking at least this hallway description, he doesn't find anything. So they'll spend a little bit of time here. And actually, before I forget, I am going to start a timer. If you look right next to my head, it might be obscuring my head. I'm going to create this timer that I found for Solodark, and I'm going to try to use that to remind myself that there's a half hour of battery life. I do have more batteries in here, but I do want to tick those down on my character sheet. So when I look over on OBS and see that torch go out, I'll know it's time for me to use a different battery if we last that long. All right, so there's two doors, it looks like, just looking down here. There's a door to the east and the west. I don't know. I'm just going to do a 50-50. I don't know which way I would try to go, so let's roll I'm going to roll a d6. 1, 2, 3. It's west. 4, 5, 6. It's right. I can roll in here. There we go. So it's a 6. So it is I would go to the right. So let's look over here. Suzanne is short and tall, and she's a little anxious, but I still don't think she would, either one would have, although I think it's okay for Brian to have his wrench out and a flashlight. So that being said, I think what I'll do for now is have Suzanne open the door. If it does open, and it looks like this door is open. So as she opens that door, he is going to look down the hallway, or he is. So he looks like it opens up into a room. Let's see how big that room is. And believe it or not, even though I did convert this, I don't remember what's in what, which is good. So obviously I'll find out a little bit. So he gets into the room and she is right behind him. And let's see what this says. All right, so as I'm looking through here, hydrotherapy bathtubs hooked up with pipes and cables here. They're closed with metal lids, only containing a small glass window. And then wooden benches with leather straps, old ECT machines with wires and cables. I don't think, let's see. So they're sitting here and investigating. I think they would certainly be intrigued, but why don't we consult the Oracle? And I don't know if this is a good place for it or not, but I'm learning. So I'm going to ask the Oracle, do the players look through the metal lids of these hydrotherapy bathtubs? So let's going to consult the Oracle. So best possible outcome. So I guess in this case, the best possible outcome is absolutely. So they both will say the hydrotherapy tubs are up here. They're both going to look through them, and they do look through them. And maybe what I'll say, give me 1 second, if it's a best possible outcome, she's got a bottle of water, and I don't know, this is a hydrotherapy room. I'm going to say that she finds an extra bottle of water. Why not? Not really part of the game or mechanic, but I'm just going to give her 2 bottles of water, saying it's kind of a critical success. Give her something extra. So as she looks through that, though, and we'll say that Suzanne looks through first, she sees a faint vision of a patient's boiling face appearing for a second. So that, I would say that if it's boiling, it's probably bleeding. She's got a she's got a hemophobia. She's definitely getting a anxiety die for that. So let's give her an anxiety die, or an anxiety point. And what else is in here? Wooden benches with leather straps. I don't think there's anything else that we can do with those, so we certainly would investigate those. But then we also see a desk containing a monitor and a phone. And I would say without question, I mean, they're here to investigate, so I don't think there's much question at all that they're going to open that desk. And so they find documents and various things scattered about. I'm actually going to say it takes them a few more minutes. I'm going to say it takes about 5 minutes. So I'm going to advance my timer down 5 minutes, just kind of a quick extra advance, saying that the flashlight batteries get a little lower. It takes a little longer to find this clue. So let's open. I think I have that in items. Let's look at our devices and gear. Nope, it's not there. I do know I have this. Is it quests or parcels, maybe? I've already forgotten where this is. Roles, that's where it is. So, okay, under the child. So let's open Brian's character sheet. And, whoa, this is kind of creeping me out in the background. All right, clue number 1 is what he finds. The clue number 1 is a newspaper article. So he opens this newspaper, and it says in the headline, the hospital has shut down after leaked footage of illegal experiments dated September 27th, 1976. All right, so I'm going to put that into, I'll probably have to clean this up since it's not showing the full amount there. Actually, but I could just fix that by, nope. All right, so he found clue number 1, so we'll keep that. All right, so they look around the rest of the room, spend a couple other minutes, and there's nothing else to do here. I think they're going to continue on this side, and they're going to continue with Brian using his flashlight to look through as Suzanne tries to open the door. And let's see if she can open the door. I think it's unlocked. I'm going to look for a second without hopefully spoiling anything for myself. I'm going to look on another screen. Yes, it looks like it's unlocked. So, all right, so we open the door, and it looks like there are stairs possibly going down from what I can see. So Suzanne is right behind him, like, come on, Brian, get out of the way, let me in. So as they go down into the boiler room, it looks like that's obviously the type of room that it is. So as they go down these stairs, it leads into what appears to be a boiler room, a large boiler tank with pipes leading into the walls, locked behind a metal grid with a rusty padlock. So they would certainly, at least I think he would, being an electrician, and he sees a metal grid with a rusty padlock, he's definitely going to try to open it. And it says the padlock can be easily knocked off, so that tells me he probably doesn't need a roll. But if you look at the rule set for Obscure, let me open this for a second. And if you look at the rules or see about the game, not there, energy points, combat, losing energy points, additional rules. What I was trying. Okay, here we are. So all tasks, including combat, I can see I still have to clean these things up here, like this, and I will before I release it if I ever can. But that call for an effort will have a difficulty rating. So I'll say this is easy, so it'd be a 4 to a 6. We'll just say it's a 5, but why not do a roll? It can be easily knocked off. I'm actually going to say that he can do this with advantage because he does have a wrench, and I think that's going to make it easier for him. So this is going to should be a pretty easy roll. But let's go under his actions. We'll roll with advantage and see what happens. So he gets a 13. So he rolled. Oh, I got to remember that. I think it's important to roll because even though this is easy, I'm going to say that it's important to roll because he's rolling 3d6 and he's keeping the top 2. But then he does, I forgot, he already has an anxiety die. So if that was a 1, he would panic and something else would happen. So I actually like doing that. So that's a 13. He easily knocks that off as the padlock breaks under the force of his wrench. All right. So what else here? Gosh, I'm finding all these that I did not find earlier, but that's okay. I'll fix those. Large boiler tank. All right, so a big box. Now I'm a little confused. Locked behind a metal grid. Locked behind a metal grid with a rusty padlock. Large boiler tank. Staircase. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay, we did that. Oh, did I get the rest of these? Oh yeah, I missed that, but that's okay. Oh. All right, so let me look at 3. Yeah, it's a little confusing, but so what did I unlock? A large boiler. I think the boiler tank was locked behind. So, yeah, I'll have to, let me just read the rest here. Because I think this is all in the room, and I was a little bit confused. So there's a big box with a fan, metal vents running up to the ceiling. Definitely something that we would probably look at, but let's wait. A power generator is mounted to the northern wall, so that's going to be a power generator up here. Rubble, broken electronics, and various cleaning tools are scattered across the floor. So let's just kind of take these, the big fan metal vents. Let's go back to that because I don't think it's something we would deal with right at the moment. But a power generator mounted to the northern wall. So I would think we'd want to possibly turn that on, but I'm also thinking, he's an electrician. He's a little concerned about turning that on and what it will do. But I mean, there's nothing else in here. So I would say the rubble, broken electronics. I think it's safe to say that they would scavenge around. But again, I think what I'm going to say is it's a little bit of a fail forward. They're going to look around. They'll find some batteries, which is what this says, but it's going to cost them another 5 minutes on their light timer. So, their flashlight. So that light, he can tell it's starting to dim. But let's do a roll. And I'm going to look at his batteries right now. He has 1 extra battery. So I'm going to roll a d6. All right, he gets 6 additional. So I'm going to put that up to 7 and clear that out. So that's great. So they looked around the room and let's see what else. Yeah, I don't know what the locked behind a metal grid with a rusty padlock. Not sure what's locked behind the grid, but I think I've found everything here. I think it's just maybe the boiler tank with pipes leading into the walls. Yeah, we'll have to come back to that later. All right, so I think for now, before they turn on the power, well, no, you know what? He probably would try to turn on. I think that's reasonable. He's an electrician by trade, and yeah, so I'm gonna say that in this case, he will need to fix it. He does have his electrician's toolkit, which doesn't really say what exactly is in that. But I'm gonna say because he has that, he can do this check with advantage. But he does have that anxiety die. Now it doesn't really say what. Yeah, how challenging is this? I think I'll go by the cues here. Oh, lost my light for a second. I'm going to go by the cues here where it says it needs a bit of fixing to work. So I will say, going back for a second, needs a little bit. I'm going to say it's difficult, but on the low end, I'm going to say it's a 10 to fix maybe. And I'll have a way to fail this forward if needed, but I'm going to say it's a 10, and he's going to roll the with advantage. That's going to be 3d6. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, God. So he got a 10, but he rolled a 1 at the end, which means he panics. So let me pull up that mechanic. And he's got a panic attack. So what is he doing? He's shooting a firearm. I think he panics and he yeah, I think normally he'd know what to do, but he's getting spooked. He's hearing weird things in here. And I'm gonna say he gets an electrical shock. I don't know what typical damage is here, but I'm gonna say he takes a d6 of damage to his energy from this electrical shock. He does a 6. All right, so I'm going to put this up to 6, which is very concerning. But I will say, because he rolled the 10, I don't know if this is how the game works, but I'm going to play it this way. I'm going to say he does succeed. He gets the power on, but as he does it, he has a moment of panic, and he takes d6 damage, which hurt him pretty bad. So let me look back at the rules on how you get rid of that damage. That's his light from his flashlight is going down. I keep hearing these weird sounds from Sirenscape basement, which I love. All right. So additional rules, anxiety points, energy points, energy points. Oh, I should have had him help out. That's okay. Losing EP, that's fine. Regaining EP, rest 10 minutes, which I would turn off my light. Well, yeah, because now the lights are on. You can regain energy by drinking, eating, and resting. Resting, sleeping. We're not going to get a good night's sleep. Eating or drinking a D3 EP plus modifier. So, yeah, I don't know if they want to rest for 10 minutes. But let me see what kind of food he has. I know he has some liquor, but I mean, he'd be lucky to get one. He's going to eat his sandwich. Let's do that. He's going to eat his sandwich, just a quick, like, hey, man, I need a break. I'm stressed out. Door closed behind us. I just got electrical shock. I'm going to eat a sandwich. Oh, shoot. That did a -2. I have to remember that. So I should have coded this as a... Well, no, that's a heal. That's right. So what I should have done, see if I can drag it up to him. I'm not sure I can do that. What I should have done is just targeted myself, which I didn't. But I like that roll, so I'm just going to bring this down to 3. All right. He's feeling a little better. He got a shock, but he's feeling a little bit better. The power's on, which is great. I don't know what that does for lighting, but certainly the electricity and some of those things are on. So for now, I think I'm going to say the the lighting stays the way it is. And he did note that there's some ductwork and things in here, but for the moment, I think they're going to go back and say, okay, I don't see anything else in this room. Let's take a look. And let's take a look at this door and see what it says. I don't remember. So the west door is still locked. So this is locked. The west door, I don't think it does anything. Or it opens automatically. So I think they're going to have to move up. Let me make sure that's right. All right, so as they come back through this room, they notice in the corner here, over here, there's some wooden benches, and after the power comes on, they look over and they see the ghost of a patient that just begins to scream, which obviously it goes without saying freaks the heck out of these guys, but they hear this woman scream as this patient appears strapped to one of the benches, screaming in agony, skin bubbling and boiling, and smoke just appearing everywhere as she tries to put out the smoke. And I'm going to roll, given I don't know if they just keep getting anxiety points, these guys are probably going to die quickly. So I'm going to give it a 50-50 chance for each of them that they actually do get an anxiety point, and we'll just let the dice decide. And if I remember right, in Alone in the Dark, in the Oracle, I think there is like just a D6. Thought there was. I think there's a D6 that's just a good and a bad. I don't know why I don't see it. I just want to look at this quickly. Well, we're gonna do this because I do want to use this in the future. We're gonna create a table. We're gonna call it D6 Decider. Outcome, and we're gonna say 1 to 3 is bad for the player, and 4 to 6 is good. Bad outcome, good outcome. So in this case, what we're going to do is we'll pull this down here. And for Brian, we're going to roll first. We're going to roll the D6 Decider to see if he gets an extra anxiety point. He rolls a 4, so he does not. And Suzanne, we're going to roll for her. She rolls a 4. So they're freaked out, certainly, but at the same time, they realize that it's just, I don't know, maybe it's their mind playing tricks on them, but they do not gain an extra anxiety point. All right, so apparently, I don't know how you unlock that door or if you can. So we're going to come back up here, and I think they're going to check out those air ducts. It's going to be pretty obvious to him that that's something they can potentially use and go through. So let's see. So I'm sure they do realize that the vents are big enough to crawl through. And for the moment, let's see. Actually, I'm sorry, I need to read this again. The power generator, if turned on, which we did, it will make a lot of noise. The power in the surveillance room will be restored, and flickering lights will activate in the electrotherapy and the psychiatric laboratory. So I'll have to remember, let me look at where those are on the map. Okay, so the room below us does have light, and then maybe some lights in some of the other rooms. But it doesn't say that any doors open. Okay. And so, I mean, I think we realize that given we haven't seen any other way to progress in here, we're going to have to make our way through the air vent. So let's think about that. And as they're thinking about that, they realize that their light has gone out. So Mr. Bryan is going to use one of his batteries. So now he's going to go down. See, he was at 7. Going to go down to 6. And he's going to swap out the batteries in his flashlight. And we will reset that torch timer and make sure it's set for 30 minutes. All right. So I think he's going to say, look, he's freaked the fuck out right now because he doesn't want to be alone, but he knows that going into the vent's the way to do this. And he's like, we've got to find a way somewhere through here. And she's like, look, my niece might be in here somewhere, or at least find clues as to why she was missing. Let me go. And so after thinking about it, being a typical guy, he's like, oh, no, I should go. But I think ultimately he relents. And as much as he does not want to be alone, either way, he's going to be alone. So he lets her decide to climb into the vent. And then I think there's a 50-50 chance that he'll want to go with her. So first they got to turn off the power, and I'm going to say now that they've turned it on, they're going to be able to get it on and off. So they turn it off, and let's see what the air ducts. Well, first let's do this. We're going to roll the D6 decider. Actually, you know what? He's not going to want to stay because his phobia is being left behind, right? So he's gonna want her. He's okay with her going first, but he's gonna let her go a bit, and then he's gonna come in maybe like 10 feet behind her. So he's gonna ask her, hey, kind of knock on the vent when you get a little bit away. So all right. So let's do this. And she doesn't have a light source. So how are we going to do this? You might have to swap the light source and give her the flashlight to start going up through the vent. So I know there's a vent in here, and I don't want to, in the future, maybe I'll create this as its own layer. Because what I want to do now is take a look. Okay, so we are around the air duct, and the air duct, I don't want to look at this too closely. It goes through here, and I don't know where all it goes, but we'll follow it. So she's going to get in the air duct and start going, like, say, 5-10 feet. And then he's going to go behind her. He's going to, like, just round this bend, I think. And she's got the flashlight. And let's see, what else does it say here? Yeah, I definitely have some cleanup in the text here, but that's all right. If more than one person crawls through, the vent will break and fall from the ceiling. This could separate the PCs between the hall and the cell hall. Okay, so what we'll say is they get down here. He gets there. And I guess we're going to say, you know what? I don't know how we're going to get this open, and he's going to be in the pitch dark. So let's say, let's say as they get here, I think we're going to have to say something happens here. And I think as they get there, probably isn't quite that dramatic. Probably isn't quite that dramatic, but nonetheless, I'm gonna say the air duct collapses and he falls and falls into the hallway, and she is still up in the air duct. She's gonna yell at him and say, "Don't worry, I'm okay. Are you okay?" And Brian's gonna shake himself off and look around and say, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she's gonna say, "Just hang tight. Let me see if I can find something and find a way to get you over here. So please be careful. Don't do anything." And I do think, oh, he doesn't. I thought he has. So he does not have his flashlight, but he does have a camcorder with night vision. So I'm going to say, so he's eaten the sandwich. So let's get rid of the sandwich. So we know that's gone. And I'm going to say he is freaked the hell out and he knows it probably isn't the smartest thing to do, but he's going to take out his hip flask, which I think is what a pocket lark of liquor is. And he's going to take a swig of that bad boy, knowing that it may or may not be helpful for him. So let's target himself and let's roll that bad boy. He rolled a 5. So 5, yeah, +2. So it's a -1. It actually does heal him 1, which it did, which is great because you have to take off 2 from the liquor. But he did get a little bit of courage from that. So that's great. So let's take that off because that is now gone. And I need to move the effect. I wonder if I can toggle off the lights here. Toggle the lights off, and then let's move to Suzanne and let's toggle the light onto her because she now has the flashlight. So he's gonna start generating. I'll just tie the light source to the same one to make it easier for me. But he does have 6 batteries. He's got a lot of batteries. I actually didn't max those all out. I just rolled high. So he's going to turn on his camcorder and he's seeing shit in this night vision and it's going to freak the hell out of him. But he is going to go back and he's just going to tell her, "Look, I'm going to stay in the boiler room. You know where that is. Come back for me when you can, but please come back quickly." So that's what he's going to do. And while he does that, let's go back and do this. So she is now in the air vent and she's just going to follow the air vent. I don't know where all it goes. Let me open up the other. I think it goes, and I'm just following the map on the other. I think it goes and ultimately exits here, I think. Yeah, I think so. So she jumps down and is in some type of treatment room. Make sure I'm in the right one. This one actually shouldn't be locked. Yeah. So she enters this treatment room and hops down. I assume that the ducks go all the way and she can get down here. Maybe she could have gotten out in some of the other areas. I don't know. But she is going to open this door and go in. I don't know where she would go. Let's see. She's got, yeah, we'll just say she crawled as far as she could and went into the air duct. Let me see if it says anything else. There are vents in the hall, the middle of the cell hall. I'm sorry. Okay. So let's do this. There is a vent in the cell hall, the middle of the cell hall. And she's going to peek through that vent and flash her flashlight. And so she's trying to decide if she wants to come down here. And as she does that, you hear something coming from the direction behind her as she's peering through the vents down here. She sees something in there, and that something is she turns around and looks at her. And as she looks at it, what does she see? If I can find it. Oh, I've got to find this. So she sees this image as she's looking back behind her, and she freaks the hell out as this thing. I gotta leave that up. That would scare the hell out of me. I'm gonna put that over here. And as this thing comes after her, and just as she turns her flashlight on it, this thing is attacking her. And let's get to her. And I think is it this one? The air duct. That's what it is. All right, we're going to do this theater of the mind. We'll open up, but this woman, she gets to attack. I'm going to say she attacks first. So let's go back to what combat says. The enemy, whenever an enemy attacks, and I do want to read, but I think I have this right. Let me minimize this. Minimize that. But I think. By the way, Brian's just definitely freaking out because he hears this. If entered alone, the ghost of an old woman, the PC stalks them. She can only move on in the darkness. She catches them, which I'm saying she did. She'll suck on them with her teethless mouth and drain their EP. She cannot leave the duct. So as this woman is like sucking the life out of her with her toothless mouth, she whispers in the ear of Suzanne and says, "The sweet child will get you, but I will just have a little taste first." And she does try to suck the life out of Suzanne. So Suzanne is screaming as this woman attacks her. And she rolls a 7, which is a 10. And that does do damage. Let's see. Oh, why does it do damage? Let me just make sure I read this. 7 plus 3 is 10. It should have done. I targeted myself. No, she did target Suzanne. Oh, Suzanne's getting 11. That's why. So she has an anxiety point, but that does not affect her because it needs to be above an 11. So she rolled a 10, thankfully. However, as this is happening to Suzanne, Suzanne absolutely gets an extra anxiety point. So we are going to open up Suzanne's character sheet. And we are going, keep opening the same one. Kind of hard doing everything to yourself, but I like it. It's fun. So that's going to go up 1. That's going to go up 1. And does she attack or does she just GTFO? Let's look at Suzanne and read her background again. What would she do? She's very caring. She's educated. She's anxious, but she's brave. And she wants to prove something to herself. You know what? I'm going to say that she's going to try to attack this thing. She's going to turn, and what she's going to do is she's going to try to back up just a bit. And I guess I can put this on the map to make it easier. So she's going to back up just a bit from this thing. And she's going to fumble around for her handgun. Darn it. I'm sorry. I keep doing that. But yeah, she is going to use her hand pistol. So we're going to go to Suzanne. Suzanne's going to target the woman. She's going to move the flashlight to her left hand. And she's got 4 shots of this hand pistol. So what do I want to do here? She's got 11 energy, but she has 2 anxiety dice. So oof. But those will count. The lowest of those will count with her energy. So if she's going to, on average, I don't want to totally metagame this, but you know what? She's going to use 1. I'm going to take her energy down to 10. I'm going to give her an energy die. And it doesn't really say, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to give her 2. I really want to get this thing done. So we're going to move her energy loss to 2, but we're going to give her 2 energy dice, 2 anxiety. So we will say that she panics if she loses, but let's just see how this goes first. So she's got it targeted. She is going to shoot and attack. Okay. Oh my gosh, 21. So she rolled with her 2d6. She rolled a 9. Then she rolled 2. Yeah, she rolled 2 for her energy dice, and they were both 6s, so she kept a 6. Her anxiety dice, a 6 and a 4. So this adrenaline just pumps through her body, and instead of panicking, she's like, "Take that, you freaking old woman!" And she shoots this thing, and it goes right between her eyes, and her head just explodes as this thing just collapses in the air duct. Let's see if there's anything else from her. So she is dead. You can see her little bladder there. Holy shit, that thing was scary. I'm gonna go to the air duct, see if there's anything else in here. You can only move. She catches him. She did that. She doesn't leave the duct. Oh, okay. They can. That's good too, because all she did was look down. So she just killed this thing, and Brian's like way back there. He had to hear something, and he's freaking out, but he's not hearing anything. He's probably going to start rushing over this way and yell for her. But let's stay with Suzanne for a second. She should have took his toolkit, but she didn't. But she has a Swiss knife, so she is going to say, "I'm out of this duct. I don't know if there's anything else in here." And she's going to use the Swiss knife to unscrew the rusty screws and pop down in the middle of the hall. So she is now, I'm going to turn back off this so I'm not seeing it. So I don't want to see that layer anymore. But so she now sees all these doors. She's popped in here and kind of walks over, and it like the whole air duct kind of crumpled right in this section, like right up here where they split, and it was right before where Brian was. So Brian, meanwhile, heard, so he's gonna pop on over, and he's hearing this, and you know he's about to put his hands on the bar. It's like, what happened? What happened? And I'm gonna see if does he put his hands on the bar. I'm just going to do the D6 decider. Like I don't know what he would do. He might, because he might not hear that hum. The oh no, they turned off the. Never mind. You know what? They're fine. There is no electricity on this right now. So he's like, Suzanne, what happened? And she explains to him that she ran into this crazed old woman, that she shot it. She shot this old woman that came after her and that was draining her life. And Rand's like, well, find a way to get me over there with you. So she's gonna look around and let's see what she sees in this cell hall. Trying to see how long I've been going. Oh well, sorry, distracted. All right, so locked behind the iron bars. So they can be unlocked if the power generator is active by using the computer in the therapy. Okay, so she doesn't know right now. So she doesn't know right now. There's 4 cell doors on the right side as you go down, and then one on the left. So, all right, so we're going to do this. I'm going to say there's a cumulative. So there's a ghost of a patient is roaming one of the cells. It will show itself to look through the window and attack if entered. So I guess there's a window in all of these cells. I mean, you kind of picture like a normal, probably has a little eye hole. So we're going to look at each of these, and we'll say there's one of the cells. So there's 5. We're going to say there's a cumulative. We'll say there's a 2 in 6 chance, and then it becomes cumulative until the last room looked at. It'll be they'll definitely see the ghost. So she's going to say, just hang tight, Brian. Let me see what else I can find in here and see if I can open any of these doors. So she would, I think, arguably look at kind of each door. So she's going to start down here. And I think this is locked. think, so how do you get into this room? Glass facade window, which I think is up here. And this, I'm pretty sure this showed as a locked room. Let's take a look, shall we? Yeah, I think she can get in there and she might want to do that, but she's first going to pop up and look into these windows. So I'm going to say 1 to 2 on a d6, and the ghost is in this room up here. It is. So she sees a ghost. Let's get this out of the way. The ghost of a patient is roaming, like as she's peeking through this window up here. She sees the ghost, and I'm gonna again give her a 1 to, I'm gonna give her a 50-50 chance of, is she, no, she's stalwart. So I'm gonna say for now, probably the next one I won't give her a 50-50 chance because she's had 2 chances and she has not gotten anxiety points, so it's probably not fair to give her a third. So the next time she will definitely get an anxiety point. But she's gonna look in there and she's gonna say, hell no. Because all she sees behind it is the I think it looks like it's just a cell. And so she's popping through here and she sees the same. And I'll say she goes all the way down here. And I think in general, all of these are the same. So the only option she has, I don't know if this door is locked. I'm going to say it's certainly loud, but she's going to break through this window and she's going to climb through the window and take a look in this surveillance room because this looks like it can definitely help. So she flashes her flashlight around and she sees glass facade windows facing the hall with the cells. So maybe it's like floor to ceiling where I just came through. And there's a long desk that runs under the length of the windows here. I'm definitely checking that out. So as she looks in there, she sees cell keys and 1 hour of battery in a drawer under the desk. Okay. And she sees 3 floor to ceiling cabinets in the corner. I mean, she's going to look through all of these. So I will pop down the timer, which is getting low by another 5 minutes. So I think she realizes that her flashlight's getting a little low, but she is going to find these things. And she also sees some electronic dashboards on the table. And let's see. I think she's going to pop back out to, I think this is fair. Again, I guess it's my game. I can do what I want. She's going to pop back out and yell at Brian, hey, Brian, turn back on the power. I'm in the surveillance room. I want to find a way to get you in with us, in with me together again. So he's going to do that. He's going to pop back over here. He's going to crank on the power. And as he does that, he's going to collect the cell keys. So let me open her inventory. I'm going to add to this cell keys, just so we know. And I'm going to say the child scenario so I don't forget where it was from. And then I think, what else did it say? 1 hour of battery. So I'm just going to, oh, she shot. I got to make sure she gets rid of that. So she's down to 3 ammo. Mobile phone is what she has. And she has the flashlight now. So for now, I think I'll just add this here and know that. Why is it? There we go. Know that if I need to use that for the flashlight, I can. Okay. Baton +2. So I think she is going to grab that. So let's find in the items and weapons. Hunter's knife. I'm going to use the hunter's knife. I know it's going to be a blunt weapon instead, but I'll drag this on because that is a +2 weapon. Is that not? Try that again. Hunter's knife. And that should populate. There we go. Great. Okay. Each cabinet can fit 1 person. Thermal vents. Okay. 1 hour battery. Great. So there's several TV monitors. So she most certainly will turn these on, and she will get the found footage number one. It will play found footage number one from the recording room. I think that means it just plays. So let's find found footage number one. And that is in my roles again. And if Tommy, you watch this, I'm sorry if I'm doing any of this wrong. So, okay. Surveillance tape. So she looks at these TVs as the power is on, and she sees doctors injecting patients in the neck. Other doctors collect documents and equipment. Looks like they're in a rush. Security guards dragging out bodies. So if you remember right at the beginning of the session, and let's look at why you are here for just a second. Well, maybe I don't know. I wonder, I assume maybe that was around that same time. So it looks like maybe the doctors are trying to cover up what they're doing, and maybe they're in a rush. They're leaving this they're leaving this place. But before they do, they want to make sure they clean up as much as possible. That's pretty scary. All right. So, you know what? So she's in here. She just found that. Um, I think there's almost, is there another level? Let's see. We'll do a little more exploring with her as Brian can't now crawl in the duct in here because the fan's on. So for now, he's going to try to, I think they probably would have had something like wait like 30 minutes and, turn the power off or something so that he can try to climb through here and yell at her again, at least try to communicate. But I see that my torch just went out again. So let's go back to Brian. And he's going to we'll just say he uses one of these batteries that he had. Why can he not use batteries? Why not? Step one, minimum max. Oh, yeah, I have to clean this stuff up before so we'll say max. Minimum can be 0. Try that again. Let's double click on it. Yeah, now it's down to 5. Okay, so the flashlight's back on for Suzanne. We're going to go back and light the torch and make sure we take it down to half an hour. All right. So she now is going to come out. She has now these cell keys, but I don't think she's thinking let's open this door maybe, but yeah, there's nothing. Doesn't see any ghosts in these. So I guess she opens them up just to see if there's anything in here. Just to peek around, but she does not want to open the ones with the ghost. So she is not going to open this bad boy. Hell no. So she's going to go down here, and poor Brian is definitely freaking out. And in fact, let's go back to Brian for a minute as he's shooting around in the room. What else would he be doing? Like, he's looking all over the walls. He's using his camcorder. I'm gonna roll. Does Brian experience something? So this isn't necessarily a good or bad outcome, but does he experience something paranormal as he's freaking out and using his camera? And he is using his camera a lot. So I'm going to take that down too, because he's using his camcorder and that's the only light he has. So I'm going to take the Oracle and say, does Brian experience something paranormal? He rolled a 19, so the answer is yes, but okay. So he does experience something paranormal, but what I'm going to say is, Brian is looking around, and through the lens, he sees some kind of ghostly apparition that looks at him. But just as he's about to panic and try to run out of the room, the ghost raises its hand. And as he looks closer, it's the ghost maybe of a child, and she just whispers to him, "Me, keep searching, help me. And then she disappears. So he doesn't, you know, it's not necessarily as a bad thing because he does see the ghost, but the but is that it's something that isn't necessarily a bad thing for him. All right. Going back to Suzanne, Suzanne's going to open this door. And let's see. Give me 1 second. What's I looking for? I was looking for something. That's oh well. I think I was trying to find something else, but didn't. Oh, I know what I was trying to find. Yep. That's what I was trying to find. This door creaks open and she pops into the hallway. So there's a narrow hall with a few broken porcelain sinks here. An air vent runs through the ceiling and can be entered into. Okay, some T3, we know. Okay. So 4 toilet cabins with closed doors, all locked, can be entered by climbing over the cabin wall. Okay, so these are like they're toilets, right? And they've got all of these are shut, but they are you know, if you think about the stalls, obviously there's just a sliding latch. I'm gonna say that you can crawl over them or even under them. But I think she's like, I don't know. But she does notice the venting, and I think she might for a second hop into here and realize that okay, there's another vent here that I could get back in, but I also have the one that's back over in the middle. So all right, let's pop in, and this door is open. So she's going to pop into here and laboratory room. A large room with a lot of tables, desks, and laboratories. Um, hmm. Oh, and there's large extractor hood mounted on the south wall here. Okay. I mean, it says if broken, this can be a way out. I'm not sure she'd think about that yet because she's got to find her friend. But there is a door down here that I think is locked. Make sure. I'm almost positive that's locked, or they would have found. Yeah, they would have found it earlier. This should be locked. So she's going to go up, and hopefully, you know, she's going to spend a few more minutes though. But so I'm going to say that she loses another 5 minutes on her timer. Let's count that down. And then she's going to open this room, go into the recording room. So it's a small square room containing a single chair, a small desk, several video cameras on stands and on the wall. And obviously she's going to be looking at the videotapes, and I don't know. Yeah, video cameras. She might have to go back to the surveillance room to play these videotapes, but I would definitely say that she would look for those tapes. So as she does that, I'm gonna pop back over into here, and I don't. Let's see. I need to look at this again. Where's the therapy room? Ah, I don't know if I missed that. And I'm going to look at one other thing while I'm doing this. Because I feel like, oh, yeah, I think I missed. Okay, I missed something, but that's okay. I can say that she got this far. And as she does that, and as she's looking here, um, she hears like what appears to me this like massive, like slow moving blob. And as she's kind of looking up out of the hallway, she sees what appears to be this bloated mass of a child. And I'm going to see if I can find an image. Don't know if there's an image. I think there is, or I might not have grabbed one. But if not, I think I will show one. Oh, come on. I've got to find that. That's too good not to show. Tidy Man, Evil Spirit. I don't see it there, so I am going to bring this over and show this image. Because I want to show this before I end the session. So it looks something like this. This massive, like childlike manifestation comes around the corner. And as that happens, I'm going to end this session and I'm going to play one more session after I read a bit more about what should have been happening with this child. But we'll do this in one more session. That was fun. I mean, I probably didn't do that perfect by any means, but I think that worked really well. I think the Oracle was fine. I think I should have read up just a little bit more and read about what happens with the child, but I was trying to avoid spoilers. But as I thought, I think that Solodark Oracle works really well. And honestly, I didn't even have to use it much, right? Just a couple times. So that was a blast, man. I really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you do, if you'd like to see more. I might play through a couple of these, but that was a really fun first session. So thanks for those of you that watched, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks all.